Any tips to avoid becoming so engrossed in current problems and the tactics of others that insufficient time is spent on long-range planning, the purpose of strategic planning?
Yeah, great question. You know, I would add into that maybe the whole idea of just, you know, talking about underlying, not only long-range planning, but sort of underlying strategy. You know, how we doing? Not only how we're doing, but where, you know, are we moving in the right direction? And is what we thought about a year ago the right strategy? So, you know, the simple answer to this is the idea of holding, and I sound like a broken record on this, holding quarterly business reviews. And a lot of times our quarterly business reviews are just report outs. And unfortunately, that's not really the only point. It's a point, certainly is a point to report on progress of goals, but the better place to be in those sessions is to really be talking about what's changing and shifting in the landscape and how does our strategy then need to change and shift. So the point is to have a half a day, and if you even had a day, that's, you know, some organizations can choose to make that time with their leadership team to spend the day on a quarterly basis talking, you know, scheduling to talk about one part, how we're doing, you know, the two other parts, if you will, broken it down into three core issues related to the strategic direction of the organization, and that tends to up the ante of not getting overrun by those tactical fire drills that we all live with on a day-to-day basis. Because, you know, at the end of the day, we as leaders have to block out the thinking space. You know, we really have to block out the thinking space to do that big thinking, and it's not going to happen in 1 hour shoved in between, you know, doing a performance review and calling a customer, maybe, you know, hypothetically. So that's my simple answer to that question.
I would definitely, if some time has to be devoted to operational issues and a lot of tactics, then separate the two. Clearly have a time designated to where you spend another hour just dealing with the operational issues, because those don't go away, and a lot of tactical issues need to be addressed, so address them, but don't confuse the two, or else you could get sucked into just talking about tactics and not thinking of the long-range plan.
And it's easier, you know, it's easier, like mentally, it's easier to talk about the tactics. It's easier to talk about runway level stuff. It's harder to talk about the strategic initiatives, if you will. And so human nature gravitates, and we've all watched it happen, right? We've watched the strategy section of our agendas get overrun with, okay, we just got to cover this one thing, you know, issue. And I think, you know, the salient point on this, which is a great quote, you know, that operations eats strategy for lunch. And I think that's really, really true. So so I think that the net on this is book the time, right? Schedule the time, and make it pure, and go into those sessions really well prepped, so you actually are prepared to talk about strategy and long-range planning, which does take some preparation, and we all know that. So,
and you know, very briefly on that, it will take a fire marshal, Bob, somebody that's saying this is tactical, this is,
that's true.
You know, so have somebody calling people on it. That's always a good place to be if you have those that really want to spend their time on tactics. So great question. Thank you very much for the question.
That's an awesome question. Yeah.